From the outside, St. Vincent Medical Center looked like any other private hospital. Clean walls, modern equipment, busy corridors, and a reputation for innovation. Nobody looking at the building could see what was happening inside. The hospital was directed by Dr. Adrian Vale. He was known for experimenting with new treatment methods. To patients, he appeared confident. To investors, he appeared successful. And to the hospital administration, he appeared indispensable. But inside the hospital, the rules were unusual. Certain treatment areas were restricted. Some procedures required special authorization, and staff were instructed to follow Vale's protocols without asking unnecessary questions. At first, nobody considered this suspicious. Then a junior physician noticed something strange. Dr. Elena Morris was reviewing a patient's file. The paperwork described one treatment, but the notes in another system described something different. The dates didn't match, neither did the procedure. Morris began checking other records. The same problem appeared again and again. Some patients had apparently undergone procedures that were poorly documented. Several records contained vague descriptions. Others had been updated after the treatment had already happened. Head nurse Mara Reed had noticed the problem too. She began keeping copies of documents before they could be changed. She didn't know what was happening, but she knew the records were important. One patient's account made the situation more difficult to explain. The patient remembered being taken into a restricted treatment area. The room was not listed in the normal treatment schedule. The staff member who accompanied the patient was never mentioned in the official record. Meanwhile, Dr. Vale continued working normally. He gave presentations. He spoke about medical progress, and he described his hospital as a place where conventional methods were being challenged. From the outside, everything still looked legitimate. Then Morris found something buried inside an electronic archive. Several patient files had been modified after their procedures. Names had been removed, descriptions had changed, and some original notes no longer existed. Someone had been rewriting the history of what happened. The administration had an explanation. They called the discrepancies administrative errors, data entry mistakes, poor documentation, nothing more. But there was one problem. There were too many of them. An independent investigator was eventually brought in. Instead of looking at individual patients, the investigator reconstructed the entire timeline. Who entered the hospital? Who treated each patient? Which rooms were used? And when the records were changed? A pattern began to appear. The same staff members appeared repeatedly, the same restricted rooms appeared repeatedly, and the same missing information appeared repeatedly. The inconsistencies were no longer random. Staff were interviewed separately. Some claimed they knew nothing. Others remembered unusual instructions. A few admitted they had been uncomfortable with Vale's methods for years, but they had never known how far the system went. The records revealed the central problem. The hospital wasn't simply testing new ideas. Its internal system had allowed medical decisions to be made without the level of documentation and oversight normally expected. Patients had become data points. Treatment had become experimentation. And the paperwork had been used to hide the difference. Investigators secured the restricted areas, computers were examined, files were preserved, and the hospital's carefully maintained image began to disappear. The building remained standing, but its reputation did not. Eventually the corridors became quiet, and the machines continued to run. The lights stayed on. But the hospital was no longer seen as a symbol of medical progress. It had become evidence. And the most disturbing part wasn't that the system was hidden. It was that for years it had operated in plain sight.